happy crafters, welcome back. This is Claudia again with White Sugar Designs. Today I am working on a new little mini project. This little adorable mini tag book I created by using the paper collection by Webster's Pages. This is a pocket size TN. It's brand new. They released this year, and you see that gorgeous suede teal pocket size TN back there. So I've used that one in their paper line to make this one for my youngest son, and I will be making a second one for my oldest. His notebook is the Buffalo Plaid and also obviously a pocket size TN. The paper collection I will be using to make his little tag book is by Fancy Pants. This is the Dream Big collection. I have tons of supplies left over from this collection because I was teaching a class for big pictures classes, and I used this paper collection to create a traveling junk journal. I was fortunate to visit Waco, Texas, and go to the Silos and the Magnolia Bakery shop, and it was just so amazing. And so anyways, I had tons of supplies. I still do. I love this kit, and I made a book for my friend because my best friend and I went, so I had to make one for her, and that's why I still have tons of paper from this collection. So anyways, I have cut the squares at 8.5 by 8.5. And you might think only 4 pages, but when you're making a book, you're folding it in half. So you're doubling everything. And when you think of the front and the back of the page, you're actually quadruple the quantity of or the space that you will have, right? So the squares are 8.5 by 8.5. The pocket size TNs are 3.5 by 5.5. So I hope I'm doing this math correctly here. You can double check me if you want. Obviously, when you make one for yourself, you will have to measure whatever pocket or TN you're using, right? So the point of this folding and cutting and all that is that we want the pockets to measure 3 inches. So that scoring that I'm doing there is 3 inches. So when I fold it, I end up with 5.5. It starts with 8.5. I fold 3 inches up. That leaves me with 5.5 inches tall. Now the width itself, don't worry too much about it because we're gonna have to trim it. You always want to start with as wide of a paper as you can, because when you're folding something, things don't line up, and you're gonna have to do a lot of trimming. What I'm showing you right now is that because this is double-sided paper, you see how the colors alternate? So that's the same thing that's gonna happen with the one that we're working on. So when you fold it, you get to see both sides, right? But because when you trimmed your paper, you end up with that's a 3.5 inch wide strip. So you're gonna trim it so that it is 3 inches wide or tall, actually tall, 3 inches tall. And that's gonna be the pocket that you're gonna create on the back, because when you fold it, you'll have a pocket on the back and a pocket on the front, and you'll see me adhering it here in a minute, and hopefully that makes sense. So there. So now that I flip it, you can see there's a pocket there and there's a pocket there. Hopefully that makes sense. You may pause it and recheck it again. So now I'm gonna add some very skinny double-sided tape at the bottom and the sides to create the pocket. When you are using double-sided paper, always make sure you pay attention to the pattern, because a lot of times there's a certain order or direction in which the pattern of the paper goes. So when you cut it, just make sure that you're paying attention so that things don't end up either sideways or upside down. So now I'm attaching the pocket here, and then when you see me folding it, see how the papers just kind of switch? Because it's double-sided paper, and that's what I loved about it. The only thing is this paper is really thick, so you have to be concerned of how everything is going to lay out and how chunky it's going to get. But I was okay with that. And like I said, since I was using only 4 pages, that ended up making still like 16 tags and 16 photos. So there I'm showing you one more time how I created that little pocket. I will have measurements at the end so that you don't have to think too much about it. I think what I decided, see how I didn't put tape on the sides, and you'll see why here in a minute. So there I created all the little pockets on both sides, and you can see how cute that looks. And then I'm gonna use a separate piece of paper to create a cover for it. So you have to line them up, make sure everything lines up, and then now we're gonna bind it together. But for some reason, I'm not sure if I have the cover on it. I think I forgot to put it here in the video. And then I have to go back and add it, which is no problem. You'll see how we're gonna do this right now. We're gonna punch 3 holes. And now I'm using this piercing tool, and I've used an old catalog to put underneath. And then you center your crease in the middle of your book, in the middle of the catalog, so that you can perforate your paper and not have to worry about your table or whatever it is that you have underneath. So I've made 3 holes, and make sure that the center hole lies on top of the pocket. You don't want the hole above it, you want it on top because it will secure it a lot better. So I'm using this very thin crochet yarn to stitch the book. We are going to start stitching the book at the bottom. We're going to put the needle through the bottom hole from the inside of the book. And this is the same procedure you will use every time. Now we're going back through the center, through the back of the book. That's the back of the book, the middle. Now you're going to go up to the top hole, and then back again through the center hole. And now you're going to be in the middle, and then you tie it. And don't tie it too tight because it's just easier for the pages to move. So I'm using my middle finger there to hold it, and then I can still tie it by myself. But did you notice that I did not have a cover? I didn't. I can't believe I forgot to put the cover on it, and it would be just a piece of the same size paper with no pockets. And I'm so sorry about that you didn't get to see me put the cover on it. I wanted you to see the stitching really, really well, because that's the important part when it comes to making these little books. So I'm just plying it out, making sure it's pliable, and folding everything, make sure everything is folded and lines up. And now we're going to be ready to cut it. And this is why it's important to have the paper itself to be wider than whatever your book is going to be. So don't ever cut the paper ahead of time. The width of it is the last thing you will do to create the book. So now I am putting some little marks where I'm going to be trimming that excess, paper. This will help line up the pages when you close the book. I'm sure you understand that whole concept that when things get folded, the pages don't actually line up when you close the book. So I'm just using a ruler. There's a little self-healing pad underneath so I don't cut my table. And then I'm just kind of going, one by one, cutting the little extra pieces there. And I don't think I'll show you the entire thing, just because I want to keep the video short, and you kind of get the idea, right? So I did half of it, which, to be honest, I don't think I should have done that. I should have just cut the whole thing, because that still can kind of leave things not 100% even. So there, I've finished trimming everything. And here's a little tip that I have, especially if you're using some cardstock. I'm using those little bullnose clips to keep everything together. And then I go back with a little piece of sanding block. It's a sanding block to just get rid of those little extra loose pieces of paper left behind. And that should finish up the book perfect. So I've cut the tags using my Cricut, and I'm using three different colors, I believe, three different color tags. You don't want everything to be the same because some of the papers may match too well. So you will see that I ended up with several other colors, and there's some red ones and a mustard. I've also printed a sheet of photos that I wanted to use. I went through all the photos that I had of my oldest son and which ones I wanted to use. And so there you see the three colors of the tags that I want to use. And again, cutting them with the Cricut, it's perfect. And there, I added the cover. Do you see that? I went back and added the cover. So, you know, it's easy. Like I said, you just cut the string, and then make sure you hold everything with either paper clips or something like that so nothing moves. And then you just add that extra page, and then you just stitch it one more time. So sometimes it happens, right, guys? So I'm using this cute little staple. I don't know how to say the name of this company. It's Raspco, I think. It's spelled kind of weird. I'll put the link on the instructions here at the end, but I love those little tiny staples, and that's what I'm using. Instead of adding the double-sided tape, I decided to use these little staples at the very edge of each of the papers, because if I staple it, then I can get both of them at the same time, the front and the back pocket. So that's how I ended up creating the pockets. So the little book is done. And now, like magic, I have added little strings of all kinds of colors and pretties on each of the tags. And obviously that's what makes this little tag book so super cute, because all this little, you know, little ruffles and little pieces of fabric just sticking out of my T-end. And believe it or not, there's only, like I said, what, 4 pages, right? But because they were folded in half, now there's 8. But then if you count back and front, that makes it 16. And look at that tray of goodies. All of those things are, the majority are part of the Dream Big collection by Fancy Pants, like I was saying. And I'm not gonna go through every single tag and how I decorate it, because that would make a very, very long video. So I just wanted to show you. You grab each of your photos, and my photos ended up being, if I can remember, they're 3x4s. So they're 4 inches tall by, by 2. So they're 2, oh my goodness, no, they're 3x4. My math is just not, or my brain is not working today. They are 3x4 because the photos come out as 4x6. So half of that is 3x4. So the tags are just perfect. You know, if you have a Cricut, you just make sure you set your sizing according to what size photos you're gonna take. So there's a lot of math involved in this project. I just realized that. So I will try to have all the dimensions in there, and if for some reason I miss something, just let me know and I will remeasure again for you, so you don't have to do any math. So again, I'm just kind of grabbing each one of the tags and you know, just embellishing them as however I want. There's a lot of them. There's 16, and you can decorate each of the pockets. So you can see how this project is a lot of fun. There's a lot of surface, a lot of areas that you can decorate. And if you have a paper collection or any kits like this, it is perfect because it takes all the thinking out of the way. You just grab whatever little bits and pieces you have from that collection, and everything matches. So I'm gonna really quick show you one more tag and how simple, you know, just you can decorate it. I'm using a little punch border by EKSuccess, It's got that look of a torn page from a spiral book, and I like that. So it's just a little simple thing to do to one of your, your pages or your edges. And so this is like my sixth attempt at doing this voiceover, because I forget that on Fridays everybody gets their grass cut and leaf blowing, and here comes the sweeper, and oh my goodness. Sometimes because I'm redoing and redoing the voiceover, I forget what I've already told you. So I am so sorry if I am repeating myself, but that is the reason why I am not actually crazy. But I think I did forget to tell you one thing. I was saying that I'm using, because each of the tag is double-sided, obviously, right? I'm not putting a photo on the front and the back of the tag. I am only putting a photo on the front that you'll be able to see, right? So what I'm doing is I'm writing my journaling on the back of the tag, kind of describing. Did you hear that? Did you watch my last video? Do you remember what that bell is? Yeah, it's the dog wanting me to let him out. Do you see what I mean? It's interruption after interruption. Oh my gosh. Note to self. Do not do videos or voiceovers on Fridays. Do them on Monday when everybody is doing something else. What I was trying to say was that I'm writing a brief description of what's happening on each of the photos on the back of the tag as my journaling. I think this is going to be the first video where I will get some bad reviews. I am so sorry. What a crazy ride this was. I promise next time I will try and keep it less dramatic and to the point. So thanks so much for sticking to the end if you are still here. I will have close-ups, links, and everything that you might want to know. If I do miss anything, please let me know. I hope that you get some time to get crafty on, and hopefully some uninterrupted time for yourself, because then it just kind of takes the fun away if you're having to deal with crazy dogs and doorbells ringing and anything like that. So enjoy some quiet time, you guys. Thanks a lot. Until next time, take care.